National Team Championships, Junior Women Gymnastics. Doug Dunbar along with Maura Driscoll. And first on the vaults, Ramona Socorici out of Romania, the 13-year-old.
Ramona is the lead-off performer for Romania tonight. She's doing a round-off entry vault. It's called her Yurchenko in the laid-out position. Little form difficulty there.
2 steps on the landing as well.
Exactly, and the judges are looking on this event for height off of the horse and distance away from the horse. You can see she has a loose body position. It's not a really straight, tight position, and some steps on the landings. And so obviously, that's a deduction.
For Ramona, vault number 1, 8.77. Each competitor getting 2 vaults in this particular portion of the competition.
But the vault scores are average, so that is an indication of why both vaults should be equally good. And her second vault, a decent job, but the problem with this vault is that it's only valued at a 9.3. So that is the maximum score that she could achieve if she did that vault perfectly.
Score for the second vault for Socorici, you saw. Now the average, 8.725. That'll set the benchmark for the rest of the field. Here's how we do it in Cincinnati. 6 athletes on each team, 3 teams in all, of course. 5 of the athletes competing on each event. Then we take the top 4 scores, throw everything else out, take the highest averages, and that's where we stand.
And that's a great thing for this competition because it allows each team to drop the lowest score, as you said, in case they have a fall or a break or something like that.
From China, Wu Xiwa, 14-year-old, chalking up, getting ready to begin the rotation on the uneven bars.
China has the most pure talent of all of the teams on the floor, and they are unbelievable on this event. Just watch their body position in the handstand right there. Look at that. Beautiful. Pirouetting right on the top of the bar. Unbelievable. They swing the uneven bars like men swing high bar. We're seeing a lot of these giant swings. A little form break there. Oh, and a fall in her release skill. That is a 5/10 deduction, half a point whenever you fall off any piece of apparatus.
Now, coming into the competition, you had mentioned to me earlier that the Chinese are really putting in high skill level tricks, something that we may not see with the Romanians and the U.S. team.
Well, the U.S. team is going to play it safe a little. They want to be consistent because oftentimes the team that hits is the team that wins. But China is going for the gusto. They have the ability and the skill, but can they stay on? That's the big question mark. Beautiful dismount, nice body position, a little step on the landing, about a 10th of deduction.
Wu Xiwa score. We'll get to it in just a moment. Judges will tabulate. We'll take another look.
Now watch this. She does a hop change. She pirouettes. She has a little bit of a form break. That set her off, and she falls in this release skill. Keep in mind that this event is all about timing, and so if you throw off your timing in any way, oftentimes you're thrown off the uneven bars.
First rotation, 8.825. Chinese setting the mark to beat. Second on the vault for Romania, Andrea Rudican. She is the second of 5 competitors that will go through this rotation. The vault elements we look for were scored on a maximum 10.0 scale. Very simple. Gymnasts are allowed 2 vaults each. The average of the 2 vaults, of course, our final score. That's the way we work it in gymnastics.
And what's important to note here is that these gymnasts are competing under a completely new set of rules, and the new rules are severely impacting this event, the vault. This is a handspring front in a tuck position, a nice vault.
Very nice.
But that is only valued at a 9.3.
Versus last year, it would have been a higher value.
It would have been, exactly. And so the rules are much more difficult since the Olympic Games. But look, nice form in the air, good height, decent distance, and a decent landing. She took a little hop there, probably up to a 10th or 2.
8.825 for Rudican, vault number 1. Again, she will have another opportunity.
Now this time she's really going to focus on the landing. This is a blind skill. Whenever you're rotating forward, you cannot see the floor until your feet hit the floor. So that's why it's difficult to land. The first vault was a little bit better. She'll average the 2 scores.
Vault number 2, 8.875. It's 8.850, the average. She averages about 4 feet 7. 13 years old, Team China's Fan Wen. And the uneven bars, take us through what we're looking for here.
Well, here are some of the special requirements. The gymnast must be doing at least 3 bar changes, at least 2 different flight elements or release moves, and a C dismount. And skills in gymnastics are valued from A to E, A being a basic element and E being a very difficult, the most difficult element you can perform.
The release moves, we're simply looking for literally hands leaving the bar and returning to the bar.
Regrasping, and there was one, a beautiful one. It's called a piked Jaeger, and that's actually another release skill. And another. So she has 3, and this is a great example of the Chinese women pushing the envelope. Keep in mind, these are the junior elite gymnasts, so they really are the future of the sport. A beautiful dismount. Oh! A fall off of an apparatus or a fall like that is 0.5 of a point deduction. And the biggest question mark in this meet for China will be consistency, as it has been in the past. Take a look at her release skill. Again, they're required to do 2 of these. This is called a piked Jaeger. Beautiful height off of away from the bar, caught way out far away. You can see where her hips were, very high. And we'll take a look at her dismount. This is where she had the problem. Double front, she over-rotates, and she has to suffer a deduction. Of course, it's 0.5 of a point.
For Fang Wen and Team China, somewhat of a disappointing start. The uneven bars, 8.675, and mostly disappointing last year. The Chinese women just 1 position out of a medal in Atlanta. We'll continue with the 1997 International Team Championships from Cincinnati, Ohio, in just a moment. I'm here in Cincinnati, Ohio for the 1997 International Team Championships. Somewhat of a look ahead to the year 2000 when the games will be held in Sydney, Australia. Hello again, everyone. I'm Doug Dunbar along with Maura Driscoll, and we're looking at a very interesting international field this time around. This is the first time that they're all together since the games last year in Atlanta.
That's correct. And as we saw in Atlanta, the United States, China, and Romania are world powers in the sport of gymnastics. On paper, the Chinese team is the most impressive. They perform spectacular and innovative skills on all of their events. They're phenomenal technicians, and they're the most exciting. Their problem has been inconsistency. They haven't been able to hit when all the pressure is on. So we'll have to see what happens tonight. The United States is an inexperienced team, but they have some talented newcomers, and if they don't make many mistakes, they could overcome the Chinese team. As for the Romanians, they have a very sort of inexperienced team as well. They're a little rough around the edges, and I think during warm-ups they struggled a little, so they may have their work cut out for them tonight.
Yeah, you speak about inconsistency. The first thing that comes to my mind, the new rule changes that maybe a lot of you have not heard about yet for 1997.
That's exactly right. Every 4 years after the Olympic Games, the International Gymnastics Federation comes out with what's called a new code of points, and it's basically the rule book in the sport of gymnastics. What happens is routine requirements on all of the events become much more difficult, and many skills have been devalued, so we should expect to see much lower scores than what we're used to.
And the scoring changes are very evident early on in the competition. Routinely last year we would have seen 9.0 plus. This year struggling to get to a 9 so far. Team Romania, Dragusta Dobre, vault number 1.
The handspring front in the tuck position. She tucked a little early and over-rotated, took a big step on that landing. Again, the gymnasts take 2 vaults, and they average the score of both of the vaults, and that's specific to this competition. Take another look at it here. The judges are looking. She pikes in the pre-flight, tucks early, really not well executed at all. And again, a big step on the landing. This vault is valued at a 9.3, and the vault values are tougher than ever.
Team USA getting ready, warming up a little bit. Interesting, Kristen Stuckey and Christy Ray, both of them called literally 24 hours ago and said, hey, we've got room for you on the team. Can you make it? So a frantic last few minutes for them. Be interesting to see how they perform today. 8.650 on vault 1.
And same problem on her second vault, but a better landing.
Yeah.
Now, she anticipated when the floor was going to be there, and that's very tough to do when you're rotating forward.
So vault number 2, 8.775. That'll average out to 8.712 for Team Romania. Team China, Lin Ji, 14-year-old on the uneven bars. We saw Team USA warming up earlier. They have received a bye in round 1, but they are yet to come. They'll have an opportunity to begin on the vault.
This is Lin Ji's best event, as it is for most of the Chinese women. Again, I cannot reiterate enough their technique. Look at that body position in the handstand. Phenomenal. Look at that, pirouetting right on the top of the bar.
Oh.
Beautiful release skill.
Very close, however.
Very close, a little execution deduction. But look at their form. Their legs never come apart. Their toes are always pointed. They're just phenomenal technicians. Look at that. Oh, a little form difficulty there. As I said, timing is key. Here she sets up for her dismount. A beautiful double layout to a rock-solid landing.
And again, we go back to what you mentioned earlier. That is, the Chinese are really pulling out all the stops. They're bringing the big guns to this competition. The 9.3, biggest score we have seen yet today in any of the competitions.
And what's important to note here is that routine was only valued at a 9.8 with all of her requirements. Beautiful execution. Look at these pirouetting skills. Look at the height on that Jaeger. Just beautiful. It's the form that just really sets them apart, and the execution and the technique. This is textbook gymnastics.
For Team China, a wonderful score to begin on the uneven bars. This is Nicoletta Onel, 15-year-old, Team Romania. Second time on the national junior team on the vault.
And she's really their top all-arounder. She's doing a round-off style entry vault, full and a half twist, and that's a Yurchenko 1.5 in the tuck position, and that vault is valued at a 9.6. In fact, a 9.6 vault is the highest value vault we will see in the entire competition, and that just goes to show you how difficult the vault rules are this year. Now watch this. She does a round-off onto the board, a back handspring onto the horse, nice push, 1 flip, and 1.5 twists. Tough to land at, but she did a really nice job. A lot of activity happening in that vault.
For Nicoletta Onel, adding to Team Romania vault number 1, 9.075. Now we begin to see the scores coming up, maybe the nerves relaxing a little bit.
And also, it's the value of the vault. She's not starting from behind the 8 ball. Same vault. A little step on the landing. I think the first vault was a little bit better, but remember, both have to be equally good because they average the score.
Yeah, certainly we're right. A little lower, but the average 9.050. This is Xia Peng, Team China. Teammate Ji Lin set the pace earlier on the uneven bars with a 9.3. We'll see what she has.
And again, the Chinese have some of the most exciting bar routines that you will see in the world, really. These junior athletes don't have quite the experience as the senior international elite gymnast, but she's moving quite well. There's her release skill. Nice action on that Tkachev.
It is very routine for the coaches to be to the side, not only spotting, but do they talk to the competitors whatsoever and offer advice during the routine?
Not during the routine at all. No, not at all. But they're there just to be there for the dismount like that. But she didn't need any help at all on that. Perfect landing.
How about a handshake? Take one of those. Team China setting the pace on the uneven bars. Ji Lin earlier with a 9.3, and for this young lady, Xia Peng, the uneven bars wonderful today.
Again, look at the body position, the form. Here's her dismount, full twisting double back, 2 flips and 1 twist to a rock-solid landing, not even a bud.
Big smile for that young lady. She deserves it. The uneven bars yielding a 9.5.
And that is actually out of a possible 9.8, so you can see there was not much in the way of deduction.
Elise Ray leading Team USA to the podium. They'll be next after a first run with the 97 International Team Championships. Team USA yet to come in the vault. Romanians will move to the bars. Bella Caroli and Marta Caroli, husband-wife team, of course.
And Marta Caroli was the U.S. Olympic coach in Atlanta, along with Mary Lee Tracy. And on her right is Geza Pozar. He is one of the national team coaches for the United States national team staff.
First time we're seeing Team USA. Elise Ray.
And Elise doesn't have much international experience under her belt, but she starts off with a great vault. Nicely done, good distance on that vault.
She actually competed in the American Cup just a few months before this competition, which gave her a real taste of international competition and the pressures that might go along with that. Team Romania, Draguta Dobre, the bar.
The Romanians had a very difficult time in the warm-ups prior to this competition. They were falling on a lot of their release skills, so I have a feeling they're going to take them out of their routines. They're sort of weak on this event. See, she just touched her feet on the mat there, and that would be up to a 3/10 deduction.
Mentally, a terrible practice round can really affect you once you get into competition.
Absolutely, and this is a brand new experience for a lot of these athletes. You'll notice all the equipment is on a raised platform, and that's called podium, and it's only used for world championship and Olympic events, so it can be quite intimidating if you've never had that experience. So not much difficulty in this routine. A double pike dismount. She stayed on, did her job, and that's really what they were going for here.
A moment ago, you saw Elise Ray with vault number 1 that scored a 9.0. She'll have one more opportunity in the vault.
That was out of a possible 9.5. This is a half-on, half-off front tuck. And again, a nice job. Really good execution. Little hop on the landing. I cannot stress enough how difficult the new vault rules are. I mean, in order to do a 10-0 vault, the gymnastics community is going to see vaults that they've never seen performed before. So that's really what we're looking at.
And a very disappointing score earlier for Draguta Dobre on the uneven bars, 7.925.
Lack of difficulty, a lack of execution, and really poor form, and that's why that score.
Second vault for gets a bye. They are taking care of their needs on the sidelines. Back to the vault, Team USA, Christy Ray, 15 years old, out of Maryland.
And this is her first international competition ever. Very exciting, an invaluable experience for her. And I should say that the U.S. has the preferred Olympic rotation order. Starting on the vault, that was a handspring front in the pike position. Good distance, but not great execution in the air.
Christy Ray looking to the sideline for a little advice from one of the best in the business.
That's Kelly Hill, coach of two-time Olympian Dominique Dawes.
Olympia Popa, Team Romania, 13 years old.
Again, the Romanians getting a rough start on the uneven bars. They're having some struggles here. But they are very young. She is just 13 years old and certainly the tiniest member on this Romanian squad. And again, you can see how far the bars are apart. And these are very tiny athletes. It's a big reach for them. And she's setting up for her dismount. A big dismount, a double layout, 2 flips backward in a completely stretched position. A decent dismount, not great body position in the air again, but a good job.
Remember, in an earlier rotation, Team China on the uneven bar scoring well into the 9s. Romania will need to bring up the pace. 7-7-7-5. Certainly not a competitive score in this particular rotation.
They just don't have the difficulty. The judges deemed the start value for that routine 8.3.
Christy Ray next, vault number 2. 9.025 was the first vault.
We'll see the same vault, a handspring front in the pike position. Decent distance. Again, not great body position in the air. She sort of runs down the vault runway, leaning backwards, so she's not getting as much forward momentum as she needs.
Very nice. Way to stay with it, especially standing there for a while.
Coach Kelly Hill for Team USA. Extremely supportive, and that's what the girls need. Vault number 2, 9.075 for Christy Ray. The average, 9.050. Back with more competition from the Riverfront Coliseum here in Cincinnati, Ohio in just a moment. But in Cincinnati, Ohio, as you see, the trees are beginning to bloom. Summer just around the corner. And we're at the 1997 International Team Championships. Team China warming up, trying to stay loose and limber in between. Monique Chang, however, for Team USA, who's a first-generation American, will take to the podium now. Parents born in the Far East. Youngest team member at 12 years old, and believe this or not, 60 pounds.
And I think we will be seeing a lot of Monique. I'm very impressed with her. She does a half-on, half-off front tuck. Big, obviously big problem on her landing there, but she's so young and so inexperienced, and she has to be a little bit nervous. Break there. Again, we're not seeing the 2 required release skills, and that's why they don't have the maximum difficulty that they need. Not even the base difficulty. Double layout dismount, problem on the landing. Again, question of difficulty. We're going to see a low score because they still have the value.
Without the required elements, we certainly will see a score definitely less than 9.0.
Absolutely.
There you have it, 8.175. Team Romania, tough time on the uneven bars. China, as we mentioned before, has set the pace so far. They are into the 9s. Monique Chang, first vault, just under a 9.0. This will be vault number 2.
Same vault out of a 9.5 maximum value, half-on, half-off front tuck. Oh. A little bit better on the landing, believe it or not. Good distance and decent quickness in the air.
Subjective judging on the landing?
Well, subjective judging in general in gymnastics, I think that's probably accurate. But no, that's probably up to 210.
Team USA's Lindsay Wing, Cypress, Texas.
Watch this vault. She is beautiful in the air.
what do you improve after that?
Well, for example, this vault is only valued as a 9.6. So that would be the maximum score she could achieve if she performed it perfectly.
Romanian team member Nicoletta O'Neill getting set on the uneven bars again.
And if there's anyone who can come up big for the Romanian team, it's this athlete right here, their top all-arounder. And she has the skill. There's one of them. That's a release move. This is what we need to see more of from the Romanian team.
Yeah, if you remember Elena Oprea, we saw no release move.
Exactly, and there she goes with a second release skill. Those are the two required to get to the base score of a 9.0. And they still have to earn 1 whole point of bonus if they want a perfect start value of 10.0.
But again, we go back to the fact that this is a team competition, and it's the quality all the way around from all 4 scores that will count.
A nice, solid routine. Very well executed. Not the full difficulty, but much better than what we've seen previous.
As the saying goes, I believe you are only as strong as your weakest link, which for Team Romania may not bode very well.
Doug, this is a team competition. Every routine matters.
For Lindsay Wang, she's looking for another 9+ score, 9.275 for vault number 1. This is number 2.
She'll perform the same vault. Look at her body position in the air. Nicely done. A step on the landing, but she's so pretty to watch. She has beautiful lines, great execution, clean form.
Very intense eyes coming down the runway. Total focus.
Watch this. A round off onto the board. She does a back handspring onto the horse, half twist, and then a front layout. This is a blind skill. You cannot see the floor until your feet are at it, so you really have to have tremendous body awareness.
It's good news for Team USA because vault number 2 is a 9.3, bettering that first vault. The average, 9.287.
What a great start for Lindsay Wang.
For Team Romania, Nicoletta O'Neill score definitely needed, 9.025. That's the way she'll finish on the uneven bars. After one event, here's how we stand. USA with a nice lead. China nipping on the heels a little bit, though. But again, Romania, we need to see more scores in the 9s. Might be a good time for a somewhat disappointed Romanian team so far. The next round, they will get a bye, be able to sit down, talk about things, and try and refocus for later in the competition. That means next, China will take to the beam. Warm-ups going on here inside a Riverfront Coliseum here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Competition as it stands right now. Team USA in the lead, but not commandingly. China right behind, but Romania a definite spread. They certainly need to put things back together. They've been taking time. They have a bye in this round. That's probably the right time, I would imagine. Absolutely, and I really think that it's just the inexperience. They have the youngest team overall of all 3 teams here. This young lady, Fan Wen, Team China, has the ability, if she does it perfectly, to score a perfect 10. That means that her routine is valued at a perfect 10. She has all of the elements that she needs. A little balance check there. Chinese are world leaders on this event. Look at those leaps, jumps. Now that skill she just performed is much more difficult than it looks. It's actually valued as a D element, and that is worth 1/10 of bonus. Here comes her flight element. That's the back handspring, half-turn front handspring. Second skill is called an onodi, named after the first gymnast who performed that skill in international competition, Henrietta Onodi. Team China on the beam this rotation. Team USA in a moment. Monique Chang will begin on the bars. Now on this event, you just saw a combination of elements. Combining elements is one way to get bonus. Another way is to do difficult skills, skills valued at D or E. And the way skills work in gymnastics is the range of difficulty goes from A moves to E moves, A being the simplest, E being the most difficult. Obviously, every routine has, or every event rather, has certain routine requirements. And if the gymnast meets those requirements, they start with a base score of a 9.0. That gives you an idea how hard this sport really is. A nice dismount there, a little step on the landing. Team China throwing their best out first, interestingly enough. Fan Wen with a 10.0 start value, an interesting move. Absolutely an interesting strategy. Usually the best gymnasts are saved for last, but in this case, China really wanted to set the pace and have someone start out solidly, and she did that. Team USA, Monique Chang, earlier in the vault, had a decent showing, helping the team out. She'll now take to the bars for her first effort. Monique recently finished second all-around at the 97 American Classic meet. Again, this is her first international experience. First experience on podium.
Can be quite intimidating, as I said. She's moving nicely. That was a giant full pirouette right on the top of the bar. There's her release skill. Ooh, that was a tough fall. Again, a fall is a deduction of a half a point or 5/10 of a point.
A severe deduction nonetheless.
Absolutely, especially since the base score is 9-0. These girls have to earn 1/10, 1 whole point of bonus to get a perfect 10-0 start value. That's why it's so remarkable what Van Wen has accomplished under the new rules specifically.
That rule change coming into effect in January of 1997. A lot of these athletes haven't simply had the time to train under this.
That's absolutely correct. A really nice strong finish.
And again, as the year goes on, we certainly will probably see scores coming up and up as they get used to things.
Exactly. I mean, the coaches need to learn more about the code and learn how to use it to their advantage. And these gymnasts have to learn brand new skills, and they have to implement them. And it's a huge transition. This is a great shot of gymnast grips, and some gymnasts wear them and some don't. You can see the dowels there, that sort of circular bar in there. It's meant to help you hold on, but any miscue at all in timing can send you right off, and that's exactly what happened here. Now this is a better angle of how and what exactly happened. A nice position in the air. She caught way too close, and all of her body weight came down in one full motion, and that's what sent her to the floor. 5/10 of a point. And a tough fall.
Not only the physical pain, but the mental pain of,
Come on, Christy.
gee whiz, maybe I'm letting down my team in some way, shape, or form. The uneven bars, 8.325 for Monique Chang. Disappointing score. Van Wen. At 9.5 and very happy. The balance beam elements we're looking for, you have to have at least one leap or jump with amplitude. Gymnastics series of 2 or more elements on the beam against 4 inches wide. And 1 full turn on 1 leg. Required elements.
And you know, those are just some of the required elements. The elements are so numerous to state. Those are some of the special requirements, and I'll be sure to point them out as we see them. Oh, and to start a routine with a fall off of the apparatus, that's a tough start.
Team China's Wu Shua. Mentally, you go through the rest of this routine knowing that you've blown the start. How do you finish?
Well, that's a mark of a true athlete, if somebody can really get their mind and their focus back. And as you would imagine, with this event, focus and concentration is everything. And here comes a huge skill. 2 back handsprings layout right on. Just beautiful. The Chinese women are really phenomenal. Look at the split. Look at the amplitude, the execution. They have so much confidence on this event. Though they are young and inexperienced, a skill like that is so much more difficult than it looks. The fact that she makes it look simple is a true credit to her.
In terms of difficulty, we will see, again, with the Chinese, more difficult maneuvers on this beam than we will from the U.S. and from Romania?
Definitely from Romania. The U.S. has a lot of difficulty in their routines as well, but they're holding back a little. They're not going to throw the tricks they're not sure that they're going to make, and that's basically their strategy. The skill we just saw is a front tuck on the beam. It's worth a D.
Well, after the missed entrance to the beam, we are seeing a wonderful performance.
She really is recovering quite well with a strong dismount as well. A little balance check. Too bad she fell on that mount.
Wu Shua, the balance beam 4 inches wide. She'll be happy with the overall performance, but of course a little disappointment with the beginning. Her score coming up in just a moment now. Kristen Stuckey out of Milwaukee on the uneven bars.
And the remarkable thing about her is she was a last-minute replacement. She had not even been given a chance to practice on this equipment at all. There's a release move.
What we hear in school at 9 a.m., telephone call. We need you on a plane at 11 o'clock this morning, 2 hours from the time a phone call came in. That was the day prior to this competition.
Really unbelievable. And the fact that she's really doing well. I mean, she has a few form breaks and isn't one of the top athletes on this team. But to come in like this with such short notice and do a decent routine.
And that is good news for Team USA. We'll come back in just a moment to Cincinnati, Ohio. We'll check scores for Kristen Stuckey as well as Wu Shua when we come back.
Stay with it, Lynn. Nice and strong. You got it.
USA seniors showing a little bit of support here in Cincinnati, Ohio. J.C. Phelps on the left, Jenny Thompson middle, and Christy Powell on the right.
And J.C. Phelps, of course, a member of the 1996 U.S. Olympic team that brought home the gold medal.
We promised you scores. Wu Hua, balance beam 9.025, amazing with a fall.
A tremendous score for her. Again, speaks to the difficulty that the Chinese women have on that event.
And how about Kristen Stuckey, uneven bars, well over 9. A great score for the Americans, who still are holding on to a very slim margin lead. This is Xin Ying on the beam. Here's how we stand after one event as mentioned. USA slim margin lead. Team Romania still. They have the bye this round. They need to discuss things and come up with some kind of plan.
And again, it's really going to come down to which team makes the fewest mistakes. Now, the Chinese women are very refined in their technique and execution, as we're seeing on this event, but their inexperience is seen in their mistakes, just like that. That's a fall, 0.5 of a point. We've seen a lot of falls from the Chinese women on bars and on beam, despite their excellent skill level and talent. But they throw the big tricks, and when they do them right, boy, they are right on. That was a front tuck with a half twist. That is an E move, the most difficult skill you can perform in gymnastics. It is worth 0.2 of bonus. Little balance check there. Again, combining elements is a way to raise your value. We talk about start values here, and basically they start out with a 9.0 if they have all the required elements. Then they have to earn 1 whole point of bonus by doing extra difficult skills and special combinations like this one. That is a very valuable combination. Beautifully connected. She'll get full difficulty for that. Nice double tuck dismount. Little step, about 1/10 of a deduction off.
In the Olympic style competition, the podium raising all of the equipment off the floor, that presents a little bit of a challenge in terms of spotting the landing and exiting from something like a beam.
Absolutely. The perspective is completely different for these athletes, and it's quite an adjustment, usually only used for World Championship and Olympic events. This is a tremendous and valuable experience for these junior athletes.
Wing, the all-around champion at the Pan Am Games, strapping up, getting ready for the bars.
And she had a terrific start on vault. She's going to want to focus on keeping her momentum, staying clean, and hitting her routine. Really nice start. Uprise, full pirouette. There's her release skill. There's her second one. 2 are required on this event. A little form break, but really doing a nice job. See, her knees are a little bent there. That's called a Healy turn. All right, another release skill. So we've seen 3 from Lindsay Wing. She has a lot of difficulty in this routine. A 9.9 start value if all goes well. And a full twisting double back dismount. Nicely done.
Stuck the dismount. For Lindsay Wing, wonderful news. And for Xin Ying, the balance beam, not so wonderful, 8.8.
But again, a fall in that routine, so that gives you an idea. With 5 extra tenths, that would be a pretty decent score.
9.375 for Wing, helping Team America increase the lead over Team China. Liang Yan, 13 years old, to the beam.
Look at that mount. Layout onto the balance beam. Just 4 inches wide, 4 feet off the ground.
Your television does not deceive you. She is only 4 feet 5 inches and 60 pounds.
Some of the things that the judges are looking for on this event in terms of execution are height on the jumps, good form, 180-degree split on the split leap. These are the things that set the gymnast apart. And here comes her flight series. Beautifully done. 2 back handsprings, layout, with their feet together. There's a required full turn. She's doing a great job setting up for her dismount. Double tuck. Oh, gosh, she's had, again, all the pieces of the puzzle have not been able to be put together for these Chinese women. They are doing so well, and then, you know, a break here or a break
One
there.
big mistake.
One
Yeah.
big mistake, and that's all it takes, 0.5 of a point. But again, the inexperience. I mean, these kids are so young. Their first international competition. Let's see exactly what happened here. This is 2 flips backwards in a tuck position. She can see the ground. Oh, you see she pulled too tight with her legs and caused herself to over-rotate and suffer the 0.5 point deduction.
Those minor mistakes are making a major difference right now in Team China's ability to overtake Team USA. 8.8 on the beam for Liang. Now to the bars, Elise Ray.
And it is worth mentioning that Elise and Christy Ray are not sisters. They are not related in any way, though there are 2 Rays on the U.S. squad. Nice body position. A little stall in that pirouette. There's a release skill to Tkachev, also called a reverse hex. And there's another release or regrasping skill.
You saw a moment ago a coach enter the scene from the lower left-hand side of your picture. You'll see that when the difficult maneuvers come about, just
Absolutely.
for safety.
Big dismount. Beautiful.
Wow.
Full twisting double back in a straight laid-out position.
We should see a very nice score on this. And we certainly do. 9.15.
Out of a possible 9.5 start value. And that is really what we need to be looking at here to judge these scores.
In a moment, we'll advance to the next rotation as we stand after 2 events. Team USA losing a little bit of their edge against China. That means more focus to stay on top. Across the bridge from Kentucky into Cincinnati, Ohio. It's the 97 International Team Championships. Team USA with a slim lead over China after 2 events. And interesting, Team USA bringing a multitude of coaches in.
Well, the thing that's different about the United States is all these athletes train separately with individual coaches, whereas in China, we see one of the coaches here, they train under a national team system, as does Romania. And it's a very different system altogether. They train together all year round, whereas the U.S., it's a very different situation.
So the other teams bring 1 point person to the competition.
Exactly.
Andrea Rudikan. Team Romania on the beam.
Starts out with a strong front somersault onto the beam. And same sort of element as we saw on her mount. If there's any event that requires focus and mental concentration, it's this one. And this is also the event where experience really makes a lot of difference, as you would imagine.
Team Romania had the bye in the last round. Maybe that gave them the amount of time they needed to get their concentration together.
And she's doing a great job. She has a decent amount of difficulty. She is one of their top balance beam workers, yet she's leading off. So we're seeing a similar situation as we saw with the Chinese women, putting their strong performer up first. Very rare. Here comes her dismount. 2 back handsprings, double pike. Good job.
Romania certainly needs the help on the team level. Andrea Rudikan provides it. 9.025 on the beam.